A horrific crash on the N1 near Louis Trichardt has killed at least 42 people and injured dozens. Many were Zimbabwean and Malawian nationals traveling cross-border. The tragedy has reignited arguments about road safety, overloading and maintenance, and a fierce public debate over whether foreign nationals, documented or not, can legally claim from the Road Accident Fund. Here's what courts have said. Attempts since 2022 to exclude undocumented foreigners were struck down. In March 2024, the Gauteng High Court ruled that the RAF Act's any person language includes foreign nationals regardless of immigration status. Similar matters have since reinforced that principle. This afternoon, McIntosh Polela from the RAF is with us to clarify the law, the claims process for families, and what changes, if any, are coming. McIntosh, appreciate your time. Now, for families watching in Zimbabwe and Malawi, can foreign nationals claim from the Road Accident Fund after a crash in South Africa? What is the current legal position?
Look, we obviously feel sorry for the people that were involved. We send our condolences to their families. As it stands, you're correct. Foreigners can claim from the Road Accident Fund. And by way of context, let me just remind you that this was a law that existed. It's a legacy law that during the times of apartheid, when this country was isolated in the skunk of the world and nobody wanted to come here, one of the sweeteners was that if you come here, you will be covered, even if you have an accident. Now I hasten to emphasize that no other country does that. And we have asked that there needs to be parity with other countries. Rich countries like Britain, where I used to live, the USA, and many countries in Europe do not do this. We're not a rich country, and we shouldn't be servicing people from outside of our borders. What happens when you and I go out of our borders is that you need to insure yourself, a health insurance and an accident insurance. But South Africa doesn't do that. And as a result, yes, of course, I mean, the families of the people that were affected can, claim from us. The one of illegal immigrants is the one which is contentious, which we've taken to court. And obviously we disagree with it. People who came here through the fence shouldn't be claiming from the Road Accident Fund, but we have this peculiar situation where they can claim because the judges of the courts have said, even though they're here illegally, they are here constitutionally, their being here is in violation of immigration. And us dealing with them is in violation of Section 14 of the Immigration Act. So it's a case that's still going. But as it stands here and now, as I sit here, they can indeed claim.
Now, we've seen claims of astronomical billion rand amounts regarding payouts circulating online. Has the Road Accident Fund issued any statement confirming this?
No, I mean, we haven't. Look, we're currently at Scopa, ventilating a lot of issues, and we have deliberately shied away from dealing with too many things. However, I'd like to come back to the issue of the illegal immigrants. You see, it's a very sad situation because even though illegal immigrants do claim, remember they can hardly be able to produce a bank account. And so what many lawyers do is they wait for the money to hit the bank accounts, the trust accounts of the lawyers, and they simply call home affairs so that the person can be spirited and chased out of the country, and that money is kept with them.
So that's obviously an issue of ethics and some unethical lawyers. But let's talk about these 42 individuals, some of whom obviously had legal status because they were traveling out of South Africa, presumably. So if they are legal and based on the current laws, what are the sort of timelines that they can expect, and what sort of amounts would they be claiming?
Well, the timeline is it depends on them, on when did they claim. For instance, if you've been involved in a hit and run, you have 2 years to claim, right? And if you've been involved in an accident like they've been involved in, you have 3 years to claim. So as I understand it now, we are where the bodies are being identified, and so their families are busy with that exercise. And it's only later after the funerals that they can come to us to claim for for instance, funeral, what they paid for the funeral expenses, and then they can claim for loss of earnings if these people were working. To the survivors, can claim right away once they are able to claim. You're asking me how much is it going to be? I can't tell, but it's going to be obviously in the millions. It's the millions that I would like to mention in the case of the foreign nationals that we should not be paying if we, had that parity with all the countries.
Now, McIntosh, earlier we heard from the Transport Minister, Barbara Creecy, and she's seeking legal advice because there are assertions that the transporter or the bus and the trailer were not roadworthy. Now, if the investigation confirms overloading, amongst others, or defective brakes, does that change the liability of the RAF, or is compensation fault-based versus non-fault under the current Act?
Not as it refers to the passengers, because you must remember that the Road Accident Fund, as it stands now, takes care of passengers so that the passengers don't sue the bus driver. And the bus driver cannot obviously claim for us, especially if it is found that he was responsible for the accident. And so as it relates to the passengers, this does not change anything. They were in a bus, they were in a mode of transport, they got injured and some of them died, and so the survivors will be able to claim, and obviously the beneficiaries of those who have passed away will also be able to claim.
Now, practically, how does the Road Accident Fund process a claim where the deceased or injured person had no valid entry stamp, given the court decisions? I mean, you've talked about some of them being illegal. So in that instance where there's no actual stamp in the passport, how's that dealt with?
We demanded for the stamps to be showed to us, for us to even start to record the claim. And the courts obviously struck us down, they whipped us. And so we have this situation where we have an act, the Immigration Act, which says as a state institution, we are not allowed to be servicing illegal immigrants because that is breaking the law. In other words, what we should be doing is referring them to Home Affairs. And then you have the judges of the High Court who says, because the RAF Act says any person within South Africa, and that refers to illegal immigrants. And obviously they put too much emphasis on any person. And we're still challenging that because it's wrong to be dealing with illegal immigrants because their being here in South Africa in any case is a criminal act.
Now, is the RAF coordinating with Zimbabwean and Malawian authorities at the moment and SAPS to streamline identification and documentation?
Well, that's not the information that the Road Accident Fund will be privy to. And obviously, that's the Department of International Relations, I assume. And obviously, the Department of Transport would also get involved with their counterparts in the countries that are, that are affected. Ours is just waiting for the survivors and as well as the families of those who passed away to come to us and say that they are claiming.
Now, finally, beyond claims, what immediate policy actions would reduce these tragedies on the N1 corridor?
Well, we are also involved in the issues of road safety. In fact, we've invested a lot of money in road safety because what you must understand is as it stands sitting here and now, a couple of months ago, we had 321,000 claims in our book, and most of them are part of backlog. And so what we want to do is to be able to reduce the claims so that we are paying many people that are currently in the queue, but also we get involved in road safety so that people don't come to us at all, especially the young people between the ages of 15 and 34 who claim the most from us, because we need to save them to be able to grow up and contribute to this country. So yes, we are involved in many aspects of road safety because we don't want too many people to be claiming from us, because in any case we don't have the money to be paying them, let alone the money to be paying illegal immigrants.
All right, now finally, you talked about 321,000 claims in your book a little while ago. What are the numbers at the moment and what progress are you making? What sort of backlog or numbers should you be sitting on, ideally?
Look, what we've done since the interim board has come is we've paid around 17.3 billion. Now that's in a space of a couple of weeks, and our target now, as spelled out by the interim board, is that we need to be paying over 4 billion every month. And that is going to sit us in a position where we can now comfortably say we've dealt with the backlog. Now, the challenge that we have is that we have too many claims that do not have all the required documents for us to be able to process those claims. And so we've entered into a situation where starting with the Manland region, which services Limpopo, Northwest and Bombela in Mpumalanga, to say to the lawyers, come forward with the claims that are ready to settle, that are ripe to settle. We want to settle these claims. We're going to be doing the same in Durban. So we want to be paying over 4 billion a month, and we want to be dealing with the backlog altogether in tandem with servicing the systems of the Road Accident Fund and improving them so that we are able to make it quicker for the claimants to be able to receive their money. We also have a bill that is with the Department of Transport. In that bill are prayers that we are asking legislators in Parliament to say, change this so that we are fixing the structure of the Road Accident Fund. Because as I sit here and now, the Road Accident Fund is broken and it's dysfunctional. And it's only with that bill in Parliament changed into an act that we can fix the Road Accident Fund once and for all. And one of the things that we're hoping to do is obviously to have parity with the other countries where we're saying we're not paying people from the outside. Whether you come through here legally, for a temporary basis, or you are illegal, period.
McIntosh, Polela, appreciate your time. Let's leave that conversation. Head of Corporate Communications at the Road Accident Fund.